The evening sky over Chicago painted itself in shades of orange and purple. Jonathan Blake sat in his wheelchair outside the Golden Olive restaurant. His heart was beating fast. His palms were sweating. He felt nervous, like a teenager going on his first date. Jonathan was 34 years old. He ran Blake Technologies, one of the most successful software companies in the Midwest. He had closed deals worth millions without any fear. But tonight was different. Tonight, he was going on a blind date. His mother, Dorothy, had arranged everything. She had been pushing him for months. "Jonathan, you need to find someone special. You cannot hide in your office forever," she had said. Finally, he agreed, just to make her happy. He checked his watch. The woman named Cassandra was already 10 minutes late. Jonathan smoothed his dark blue jacket and took a deep breath. He could do this. It was just dinner. The restaurant was busy that Friday night. Waiters moved between tables, carrying plates of steaming food. The smell of fresh bread and herbs filled the air. Soft music played in the background. Jonathan had chosen a table near the window where he could see the city lights. A young waitress with warm brown eyes and curly hair walked past him. She smiled kindly and asked if he needed anything while he waited. Her name tag said Megan. "Just some water, please," Jonathan said. "Coming right up," Megan replied with a cheerful voice. Jonathan watched her walk away. There was something bright about her. Something real. He shook his head. He was here for Cassandra, not to admire waitresses. The front door opened with a gust of cold air. A tall woman with straight blonde hair walked in. She wore a tight black dress and expensive jewelry. Her high heels clicked against the floor as she looked around the restaurant with sharp eyes. Jonathan raised his hand slightly. The woman spotted him and walked over. Her red lips curved into a smile, but the smile did not reach her eyes. "You must be Jonathan," she said. "Yes, and you are Cassandra." "Please sit down," he replied politely. Cassandra pulled out the chair and sat down elegantly. She placed her designer purse on the table and looked at Jonathan. Then her eyes traveled down and stopped at his wheelchair. The change in her face was instant. Her smile disappeared. Her eyes grew wide with shock. Then came the disgust. Pure, ugly disgust. "Wait, you are in a wheelchair?" Cassandra asked loudly. Jonathan felt his stomach drop. "Yes. I thought my mother told you about it." "She absolutely did not," Cassandra snapped. "I would never have come if I knew." "Excuse me?" Jonathan felt heat rising in his chest. "Look, this is a waste of my time," Cassandra said, crossing her arms. "I have standards, Jonathan. I need a man who can actually keep up with me. Parties, dancing, vacations. What are you going to do? Roll around behind me?" People at nearby tables started turning their heads. Jonathan's face burned with shame. He wanted to speak, but the words stuck in his throat. "Honestly, your mother should be ashamed for setting this up," Cassandra continued cruelly. "She should have warned me. I feel tricked. Do you know how embarrassing this is for me? Embarrassing for you?" Jonathan finally found his voice. "I am the one being insulted."
Please.
"You should be grateful anyone agreed to meet you at all." Cassandra laughed coldly. "Let me give you some advice. Stay home next time. Save yourself and everyone else the trouble." Jonathan gripped the armrests of his wheelchair so tightly his knuckles turned white. 3 years? 3 years since the accident? And moments like this still hurt like fresh wounds? Before he could respond, a voice cut through the air like a sharp knife. "Excuse me? Is there a problem here?" Jonathan turned and saw Megan, the waitress, standing beside their table. Her notepad was in her hand, but her eyes were focused on Cassandra with a look of pure fire. "No, this does not concern you," Cassandra said dismissively. "Go get us some menus or whatever you do." "Actually, it does concern me," Megan replied firmly, "because I just heard you being incredibly rude to a customer in my section. And honestly, I have seen a lot of terrible behavior in this restaurant, but you just won the award for worst human being tonight." Cassandra's mouth fell open. "How dare you speak to me like that? I will have you fired." "Go ahead and try," Megan shot back. "But first let me tell you something. This man got dressed. He came here. He gave you a chance. And what did you do? You judged him for sitting in a wheelchair. Like that defines who he is. It does define him, Cassandra hissed. He is damaged goods. Megan slammed her notepad on the table so hard the water glasses shook. Damaged goods? Let me tell you what is damaged. Your attitude, your heart, your basic human decency. That wheelchair does not make him less of a man, but your cruelty makes you less of a person. The restaurant had gone quiet. Everyone was watching now. Cassandra's face turned bright red with anger and embarrassment. I am not staying here to be lectured by a waitress. Cassandra grabbed her purse and stood up. This is ridiculous. The door is right there, Megan pointed. Try not to let it hit you on the way out. Oh wait, never mind. I hope it does. Cassandra stormed out, her heels hitting the floor in angry clicks. A few people at nearby tables actually clapped quietly. One elderly man gave Megan a thumbs up. Megan turned to Jonathan with a softer expression. I am so sorry about that. Are you okay? Jonathan stared at her in amazement. No one had ever defended him like that. Not even his own family had stood up for him so fiercely. I am fine, he said slowly. Thank you. You did not have to do that. Yes, I did, Megan said simply. Some people need to hear the truth, and she definitely needed to hear it. You might get in trouble, Jonathan said with concern. Maybe, but it was worth it, Megan smiled. Now, can I get you something to eat? The lasagna here is amazing. It is like a warm hug for your stomach. Jonathan laughed. It was a real laugh, the first one in a long time. The lasagna sounds perfect. Megan brought his food and kept checking on him throughout the meal. Every time she stopped by, she made him laugh with some joke or story. She told him about a customer who once complained that his soup was too wet. She described how the chef yelled at his pots in Italian when he was stressed. Jonathan found himself smiling more than he had in months. There was something magical about Megan. She was honest and kind and funny. She did not look at his wheelchair with pity or disgust. She looked at him like he was just a normal person. When he finished eating, Megan brought the check. Jonathan reached for his wallet, but she stopped him. It is on the house tonight, she said. Consider it an apology from the universe for sending that terrible woman your way. I cannot let you pay for my meal, Jonathan protested. You are not letting me do anything? I am choosing to do it, Megan grinned. But if you feel bad about it, you can leave me a good tip and promise to come back for dessert sometime. Jonathan left a $100 bill on the table. Megan's eyes went wide when she saw it. This is way too much, she said. It is exactly right, Jonathan replied. For defending a stranger, for making me laugh, for being a genuinely good person. Megan tucked the money into her apron with a grateful smile. Thank you, really. Jonathan hesitated for a moment. His heart was pounding again, but for a different reason now. Megan, this might sound crazy, but would you like to get ice cream with me after your shift? There is a great place down the street. Megan looked surprised. Then she smiled that bright smile again. You know what? I would love that. My shift ends at 9. I will wait, Jonathan said. I'll bet fair warning, I eat ice cream like it is a competition. No judging. Megan laughed as she walked away to serve another table. Jonathan watched her go with a warm feeling spreading through his chest. An hour ago, he had been humiliated and heartbroken. Now he had a date with a woman who made him feel more alive than he had in years. Maybe his mother was right. Maybe he did need to get out more. He just never imagined he would find hope in a restaurant. Defended by a waitress with fire in her eyes and kindness in her heart, the night was just beginning. And for the first time in a long time, Jonathan Blake was excited to see what would happen next. The ice cream shop was called Sweet Delights. It was small and cozy, with colorful chairs and the sweet smell of fresh waffle cones in the air. Jonathan waited outside, watching the door of the Golden Olive at exactly 9:05 p.m. Megan came running down the sidewalk. She was still in her work clothes, her curly hair bouncing with every step. Sorry, I am late, she said, catching her breath. A customer decided to order a whole new meal 5 minutes before closing. Some people have no sense of time. It is fine, Jonathan smiled. I would wait longer. They went inside Sweet Delights together. Megan pressed her face against the glass display case like a child in a toy store. Oh my goodness, they have cookie dough flavor and strawberry cheesecake. And mint chocolate chip, she said excitedly. This is the hardest decision of my life. Take your time, Jonathan laughed. Megan ended up ordering 3 scoops with extra sprinkles and chocolate sauce. Jonathan ordered simple vanilla. Vanilla? Really? Megan raised an eyebrow. With all these amazing flavors, you choose vanilla. I like the classics, Jonathan shrugged. You're a very boring ice cream person, Megan teased. But I accept you anyway. They sat at a small table by the window. Megan attacked her ice cream with enthusiasm, getting chocolate on her nose without noticing. Jonathan reached over with a napkin and gently wiped it off. Oh no, did I make a mess already? Megan laughed. This always happens. One time I went to a fancy dinner and had sauce on my cheek the whole night. Nobody told me. I discovered it in the bathroom mirror 2 hours later. Oh, how does that even happen? Jonathan asked, amused. Talent. Pure talent, Megan said proudly. They talked for over an hour. Megan told him about her life. She had grown up in a small town in Indiana before moving to Chicago for school. She had been studying nursing when life took a different turn. I had to drop out 2 years ago, Megan said, her voice becoming softer. When I had Dylan? Jonathan asked, my son. He is 5 years old, and the best thing that ever happened to me. Megan smiled. His father left when he found out I was pregnant. Said he was not ready for that kind of responsibility. Translation, he was a coward. I am sorry, Jonathan said quietly. Do not be. Dylan and I are a team. We do not need anyone else, Megan said firmly. But it meant I had to work instead of going to school. Bills do not pay themselves, you know. What would you study if you could go back? Jonathan asked. Nursing. Definitely nursing. I love helping people. There is something amazing about making someone feel better when they are at their worst. Megan's eyes lit up when she talked about it. But someday, maybe when Dylan is older and I have saved enough money. Jonathan listened carefully, admiring her strength. She had been through so much but still kept a positive attitude. Still kept dreaming. Your turn, Megan said. Tell me about you. What do you do besides go on terrible blind dates? Jonathan smiled. I run a technology company. Blake Technologies. We develop software for medical equipment. Megan's eyes went wide. Wait, Blake Technologies? The Blake Technologies? You have heard of it? Everyone has heard of it. You guys made that heart monitoring system that saved my grandmother's life 2 years ago. Megan looked at him with new respect. You are kind of a big deal. The wheelchair usually surprises people more than the company, Jonathan said with a hint of sadness. The wheelchair is just a chair with wheels, Megan shrugged. It does not define you. What you have done, how you have helped people, that is what matters. Jonathan felt something warm spread through his chest. She really meant it. She was not just being polite. You are unlike anyone I have ever met, he said honestly. Good. Being like everyone else sounds boring, Megan grinned. They exchanged phone numbers before saying goodbye. Jonathan drove home that night with a smile on his face. For the first time in 3 years, he felt hopeful about something other than work. Over the next week, Jonathan visited the Golden Olive every day. He would order coffee and pie just to see Megan and talk to her. She would stop by his table whenever she could, sharing jokes and stories from her day. Then everything changed. On Friday afternoon, Jonathan walked into the restaurant and immediately knew something was wrong. The manager, a heavy-set man named Tony, was talking to Megan in the back. Her face was pale. Jonathan waited until she came out. Her eyes were red like she had been crying. And what happened? He asked with concern. I got fired. Megan's voice was shaky. That woman from your blind date, Cassandra, she came back yesterday and complained to the owner. Said I was rude and unprofessional. Turns out her father invests in this restaurant. They let me go. Jonathan felt anger boil inside him. This was his fault. Cassandra was punishing Megan for defending him. Megan, I am so sorry. This is because of me, he said. It is not your fault. It is that horrible woman's fault, Megan wiped her eyes. But I cannot think about that right now. I need to find another job. I have rent to pay. Dylan needs food and clothes, and I have to pay Mrs. Patterson for babysitting. I want to offer you a job, Jonathan said quickly. Megan looked at him with confusion. What? I need a personal assistant. Someone to organize my schedule, help with meetings, manage day-to-day things. The pay is good. Much better than waitressing. Jonathan, you do not have to do this out of guilt. I'm not doing it out of guilt. I am doing it because I need someone I can trust. Someone smart and organized and honest. You are all of those things, Jonathan said firmly. It is a real job offer. Fair exchange. Megan bit her lip, thinking hard. But I do not know anything about being an assistant. You will learn. I will teach you. And you can bring Dylan to work when you need to. My home office has plenty of space. Megan was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. Okay, I will take it. But if I am terrible at it, you have to tell me. You will be amazing. I am sure of it. The following Monday, Megan arrived at Jonathan's house for her first day. When she saw the huge mansion, her jaw dropped. You live in a castle, she whispered. An actual castle. It is too big for one person, Jonathan admitted. Come inside. I will show you where you will be working. He gave her a tour of the house. The living room was bigger than her entire apartment. The kitchen had marble counters and fancy appliances she did not know how to use. The home office had 2 desks, expensive computers, and a wall of windows overlooking a beautiful garden. Your desk is here, Jonathan pointed to the smaller desk. I already set everything up for you. Megan sat down and took a deep breath. I can do this. I can definitely do this. The first few weeks were challenging. Megan had to learn new software, understand business terms, and organize Jonathan's complicated schedule. But she worked hard and asked questions whenever she did not understand something. She also started helping Jonathan with physical therapy. He had stopped going to sessions months ago, claiming they did not work. Megan would not accept that. You gave up too early, she told him one morning. Physical therapy takes time. Sometimes years. You cannot expect miracles in a few months. What do you know about it? Jonathan asked stubbornly. I was studying to be a nurse, remember? I know that giving up is the worst thing you can do, Megan said firmly. Let me help you. I learned the basics in school. It is free since you already pay me. Livia, I cannot ask you to do that. You are not asking. I am offering. Now stop being stubborn and let me help. They started with simple exercises. Megan was patient but firm. She pushed Jonathan when he wanted to quit and encouraged him when he made progress. Slowly, he began to improve. His flexibility increased. His back pain decreased. He could move in ways he had not been able to for months. Look at you, Megan, cheered after one session. You stretched your arm that far, without complaining once. Only because I know you will make me repeat it 10 times if I complain. Jonathan smiled. You know me well. As the weeks passed, they grew closer. Megan told him more about Dylan, about her dreams of going back to school, about her childhood in Indiana. Jonathan found himself sharing things he had never told anyone. His fears, his loneliness, his feelings of worthlessness after the accident. One afternoon, Megan brought Dylan to the office because Mrs. Patterson had a doctor's appointment. The little boy ran into the room with wide eyes. Mommy, this house is bigger than our whole building, he shouted. Dylan, inside voice, please. Megan laughed. Is there a dragon here? Dylan asked Jonathan seriously. Castles have dragons. Fortunately, no, Jonathan smiled. But I do have video games. Do you like video games? Dylan's face lit up like a Christmas tree. I love video games. They spent the entire afternoon playing together. Jonathan taught Dylan how to play racing games. Dylan taught Jonathan how to make funny faces. Megan watched them bond and felt her heart fill with warmth. That night, after putting Dylan to bed, Megan sat on her couch thinking. She thought about Jonathan's kindness. His patience with Dylan, the way he looked at her when she talked, the way he made her feel valued and special. She was falling for him. Hard. And that terrified. Her because Jonathan Blake was a millionaire who lived in a mansion, and she was a single mother who used to wait tables. They came from different worlds, but when she closed her eyes, it was his face she saw, his smile, his gentle voice. Maybe, just maybe, different worlds could meet somewhere in the middle. The autumn leaves were falling outside Jonathan's office window. 3 months had passed since Megan started working for him. 3 months of laughter, growth, and unspoken feelings. One Thursday evening, Megan found Jonathan staring at an old photograph. His eyes were red and his hands were shaking. She had never seen him like this. "Jonathan, what is wrong?" she asked softly, sitting beside him. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he handed her the photo. It showed 2 young men standing on a beach, arms around each other, smiling at the camera. One of them was Jonathan. The other was a younger man with the same blue eyes and dark hair. "This is my sister," Jonathan said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Her name was Grace." Was. Megan felt her heart tighten. She died 3 years ago. "In the same accident that put me in this wheelchair?" Megan covered her mouth. "Oh, Jonathan, I had no idea." "I was driving that night," Jonathan continued, tears streaming down his face. "It was raining hard. I was on a phone call about some business deal. I was not paying attention. I lost control of the car. It flipped 3 times. He paused, struggling to breathe. I woke up in the hospital 2 weeks later. My legs were paralyzed. But Grace, she did not make it. She was only 23. She had just finished college. She wanted to be a teacher. She had her whole life ahead of her, and I took that from her because I could not wait to make another phone call." Megan pulled him into a tight hug, letting him cry against her shoulder. She did not say anything. There were no words that could fix this kind of pain. She just held him and let him release the grief he had been carrying for 3 years. After a long time, Jonathan pulled back. His eyes were swollen, his face wet with tears. "Every day I wake up and remember that she is gone because of me," he said. "My mother lost her daughter. My father never recovered. He passed away from a heart attack a year later. The doctor said it was stress, but I know the truth. He died from a broken heart." "Jonathan, listen to me." Megan held his face in both hands. "It was an accident. A terrible, tragic accident. You did not want this to happen. You did not choose this. Punishing yourself forever will not bring Grace back. But it was my fault. It was a mistake. A horrible mistake made in a split second. That does not make you a murderer." "That makes you human," Megan said firmly. "Grace would not want you to suffer like this. She would want you to live, to find happiness, to honor her memory by being the best version of yourself." "How do you know that?" "Because I know you. And anyone who loves you would want you to be happy, not trapped in guilt forever." They sat in silence for a while. The sun was setting outside, painting the room in golden light. Jonathan felt something shift inside him. The weight he had been carrying felt a little lighter. Not gone, but manageable. "Thank you," he whispered. "For listening. For not running away." "Why would I run away?" Megan smiled gently. "This is part of who you are. The pain, the guilt, the loss. But so is your kindness, your generosity, your strength. I see all of it, Jonathan, and I am not going anywhere." The weeks that followed brought more healing. Jonathan started seeing a therapist to work through his grief. He visited his mother more often. He talked about Grace without falling apart. Slowly, painfully, he began to forgive himself. Dylan became a regular visitor at the mansion. He and Jonathan had developed a special bond. They played video games together, built pillow forts, and had serious discussions about why dinosaurs were cooler than robots. One Saturday afternoon, Jonathan took Megan and Dylan to the park. The little boy ran ahead, chasing pigeons and collecting colorful leaves. Megan and Jonathan walked slowly behind him. "He adores you," Megan said, watching Dylan wave at them excitedly. "I adore him too. He is an amazing kid." "You have done a wonderful job raising him." Megan felt her cheeks warm. "Thank you. It has not been easy, but he makes everything worth it." They stopped by a bench and sat down. Dylan was now trying to climb a small tree despite the rules posted everywhere. "Megan, there is something I need to tell you," Jonathan said, his voice serious. Her heart started racing. "What is it?" "These past few months have been the best of my life. You came into my world like a storm and changed everything. You made me laugh again. You made me feel alive again. You showed me that I deserve happiness, that my life is not over just because it is different from what I planned." Megan's eyes were filling with tears. "Jonathan, let me finish." He smiled softly. "I know we come from different worlds. I know this might complicate things, but I cannot pretend anymore. I am in love with you, Megan Porter. Completely, hopelessly in love with you." The tears spilled down her cheeks. "I love you too. I have loved you for months. I was just too scared to admit it." "Scared of what?" "Scared that I was not enough. That you would realize I am just a former waitress with no degree, living in a tiny apartment, raising a child alone. That you deserve someone better." Jonathan took her hands in his. "You are everything, Megan. Your kindness, your strength, your humor, your heart. I do not care about money or degrees or where you live. I care about you. Only you." He pulled out a small velvet box from his jacket pocket. Megan gasped. "I am not proposing marriage," Jonathan said quickly, seeing her shock. "Not yet, anyway. This is a promise ring. A promise that I am committed to us. To you and Dylan, to building a life together, whatever that looks like." He opened the box to reveal a beautiful silver ring with a small diamond in the center. "Will you accept it?" he asked nervously. Megan laughed through her tears. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Jonathan slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. She leaned forward and kissed him gently, softly, with all the love she had been holding inside. "Mommy and Jonathan are kissing." Dylan's voice interrupted them. They looked up to see the little boy standing nearby, his face scrunched in disgust. "That is so gross." They both burst out laughing. Jonathan opened his arms, and Dylan ran into them for a group hug. "Does this mean Jonathan is going to be my dad?" Dylan asked innocently. Megan looked at Jonathan. He looked back at her with so much love in his eyes. "Would you like that?" Jonathan asked the boy. Dylan thought for a moment. Then he smiled his biggest smile. "Yes, because you have video games, and you let me win, and you make Mommy happy." "Then I would be honored to be your dad," Jonathan said. Hugging him tighter, that evening they had dinner at Jonathan's mother's house. Dorothy welcomed Megan and Dylan with open arms. She cried happy tears when she saw the ring on Megan's finger. "I knew it," Dorothy said, hugging Megan tight. "From the moment Jonathan told me about the waitress who defended him, I knew you were special." "Thank you for raising such an incredible man," Megan replied. "Thank you for bringing him back to life," Dorothy whispered. "My son had lost his sparkle, but you found it and gave it back to him." 6 months later, Megan graduated with her nursing degree. Jonathan had insisted on paying for her schooling, calling it an investment in their future. She protested at first, but eventually accepted. Some battles were not worth fighting. A year after that, they got married in a small ceremony in Jonathan's garden. Dylan was the ring bearer. Dorothy cried through the entire ceremony. Megan wore a simple white dress and flowers in her curly hair. Jonathan thought she had never looked more beautiful. "Cannot believe this is my life," Megan whispered, as they shared their first dance as husband and wife. "Believe it," Jonathan smiled. "You deserve every bit of happiness. So do you." They looked over at Dylan, who was eating cake with both hands and getting frosting everywhere. Dorothy was trying to clean him up while laughing at his chocolate-covered face. "We are a family," Megan said softly. "We are a family," Jonathan agreed. "And this is just the beginning." The rejected millionaire had found his soulmate in a waitress with a brave heart. The single mother had found her prince in a man the world had written off. And the little boy had found his father in someone who chose love over fear. Their story proved that happiness does not care about wheelchairs or bank accounts or past mistakes. It only cares about two hearts brave enough to choose each other, and they chose each other. Every single day,